Laura can't eat, so. Well, at least I didn't figure it was.
Someday I'll make her some, I mean, you don't ever put them up on the shelves, you know, they're.
I don't care what anybody says, the freeze's not very good. You gotta learn to like it.
Kind of sandy texture to it. I'm not sure.
The only thing that I've eaten gluten free that I liked was moondog pizza. Moondog, small gluten free pizza. I get gluten free. Love on it. You buy gluten free cookies. And when you was whole when they fall Well, hey, Bob. You got the board. Turn out. They must have anticipated passing that hurdle. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Some of your all flat, I don't know if you got it back.
No, I have not. You got it?
Actually, Tyler's review not still right, but I've already found it.
Throw a couple down this way. We will have to use that big thing to move on.
First friend will happen.
That's for sure. I think it's
Bring them down.
Yeah.
just a little, drop connected to each bed.
Blip.
With that now. Here, I get it. I'm done.
You're now live, just FYI.
Thank you. We're now live. We're live.
You are live.
Are you sure?
You're half live.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I think so.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good, how are you? Okay, so I think we're just about ready to start. I'm gonna ask everybody to turn off their phones and silence your iPads by turning the volume down to 0, to mute. Because that's the noise we're getting sometimes, is the iPad that makes swooshing and dinging sounds. I'm gonna say that, Mr. Bailey.
I have some assistance.
You may.
Wow.
Yes, town.
So, it's that button.
Yeah,
At
you
the
can use
top.
it, you don't have to do that, you can just use, there's this. The volume, just turn it way down.
No, I didn't.
Go in this one.
It'll show you it's muted.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna go to control.
And just remember, it's muted, you've got it.
Okay. Right.
I do that all the time.
Okay, so, you need to make a copy. Okay. We'll wait for Kim to make a copy. Vice Mayor Humphreys is gone to the funeral home, so we're gonna start without him. And he will, he'll be back in a few.
Yeah. You go and start without me.
So, we are all here now, and as soon as Ms. Kingsley can, are you ready? I'm ready. Okay. So, welcome to the, what we hope is the final budget work session of 2019, or 18-19 budget. And I will ask Ms. Kingsley to call the roll, please.
Mr. Craig?
Here.
Ms. Patterson?
Here.
Mr. Humphries is not available this time, will be joining us, I understand. Mr. Howard?
Here.
And Ms. Love?
Here. Okay. Now, before we've got 2 people that want to speak to us today. And before we do that, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we've got these sheets that they handed out that were in our pack. And we are working, we had a green sheet and then we had a corrected green sheet. So do you know which one is corrected?
You should
Okay,
have one
somebody-
that's 10,000 and over, and then the one that is 10,000 below, that should say corrected.
Okay, but is it the March 20th that's the corrected one?
No, you have an extra, yes, this is correct, because there was
So
an extra
not,
500.
not the one that was in the,
Yeah, yeah, this one's 10,000 over too, so you've got 2 separate ones. This one's
Okay.
below 10 and this one's over 10.
Okay, so do you all see that? You got one that is below 10, one that's over 10. That is the green sheet. Then we have 2 pink sheets that are non-departmental 2018, 2019, that we're going to be working from in just a couple minutes. So let's call out last year's appropriations, starting with the below 10,000. And if I'm wrong about something, somebody can correct me. We'll start with Avenue Rotary Frolics was 500, Animal Defense League was 5,000, Appalachian Sustainable Development was 0. Boys and Girls Club of the Mountain Empire was 0, Brain Injury Services 0, Business Plan Challenge 5,000, Children's Advocacy Center 0, Crossroads Medical Mission 8,000, Arts Depot 5,400, Fairview 0, Friends of Southwest Virginia 7,500, Highlands Educational Literacy Program 3,500, Historic Society of Washington County 2,700, Holston Mountain Artisans 2,500. Now that's one that we got an email or maybe a phone call that said that they got 4,000 last year, not 2,500. It could be that it was that June the 30th appropriation and that we actually did only give them 25 in this budget, and maybe they got I don't know. But there's a discrepancy on that one. They said they got 4,000, we have 2,500 down. Free clinic at E&H 0, EMS Council 900, Symphony of the Mountains 2,500.
Kathy, did you say Appalachian Sustainable?
Sustainable Development got 2250.
2250. Okay, so ASD got $2,250. Okay. And so that is the below 10,000. Okay. Everybody agree? Chuck, do you all agree?
I don't show ASD getting anything last year, but we'll verify the two that you questioned.
Okay, so the two that are in question are ASD and Holston Mountain Artisans total, or dollar amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Okay.
got those down.
Okay, 10,000 and over on the green sheet. Adding in Main Street, 30,000. Redevelopment and housing, 50. Barter, 200. District 3, 4669.
4669.
Economic Development Authority, 10,000. Ecumenical Faith in Action, 20. Old Glade Tractor, 15. Senior Services Operations, 22.5. Meals on Wheels, 5. Veterans Park, 25. Airport Authority, 0. Highlands Festival, 30. Incubator, 88,512. Chamber of Commerce, 15. Washington County Fairgrounds, that's a question mark. I'm in just
4,000.
It's 4,000.
4,000. Public Library, 7,500. White's Mill Foundation, 0. William King, 85. Then, we have Community Christmas that had no written requests, but that we generally annually fund. We have Kiwanis Christmas Parade that had no requests, but we generally annually fund. And that's all. Is there anything else?
The Little League and Creeper Trail Club.
But neither one of
I did
them,
not
right,
receive it.
Little League and Creeper Trail Club requested allocations this year, but I'm just talking about last year. They didn't get anything last year, either organization. However, Little League got several $1,000s in kind, and Creeper Trail Club is just now getting their feet off the ground after moving into the building at the Creeper Trail, the Finley House. Okay, so we have welcomed Mr. Bradley. we have two folks that want to speak to us today. One is Ms. Charlotte Parsons. We had some discussion last time about giving her 10 computers, and I think she wants to talk to us about that. And then Betsy White was unable to be here the last time, and she wants to speak to the council just a minute before we get started on our final allocations. So, Ms. Parsons. Excuse me.
I have a handout. It's a summary of what I had. Should I get down here with that? I sent you an email this morning. It took me a while to get some of my information together to respond to the question or the offer about the computers. Last week, if you remember, I made a request for $26,000. That was an increase of $18,000 compared to what you had given last year, and I said that part of that money that we were requesting would be used to purchase 10 or half of the computers that we use in the public lab. And I saw Kathy later, and she mentioned that there had been, I thought it was 5 computers that you mentioned, had been pulled out of the incubator and would be available if we wanted them. I explained to Kathy the importance of us knowing how the specs would work in regard to what we already had. And I started the process of trying to get some information to ask our IT people about that. I did not get that information until Monday, sent the information yesterday to the IT people. And in the middle of the page, you can see the summary from Ken from our computer support team. And his comment was, if at all possible, do not place used machines in the public access lab because of the constant use. We're open 63 hours a week at the main library, and those computers are just about in use all the time. And that the computers are using or supporting office applications, need constant access to the internet, and something that makes the workings of them a little bit more complicated is they also have to interface with their automation system. A person comes in, they have a library card, then they just go seamlessly into using the computers. He did remind me that we needed computers for our OPACs, which takes the place of the old-fashioned card catalog, and the demands on those machines are not nearly as high as what they are in the lab. So based on his information and the fact that we are committed to providing the best service that we can to our general public, we want to have very competent and reliable computers available. Comments also made by Floyd. When I talked with him, I was asking about 5 computers. Floyd made the comment that the town had 10 computers, that it was a routine practice for you all to replace your computers every 3 years. And the recommendations I cited about the library support team. I'd like to ask that the town not reconsider, but revise their offer to allow the library to have 10 used PCs, and with that, the monitors that would make them functional and the other equipment, the keyboards and the mice that would help, and that the PCUs be set up to the specifications that we talked about in general and that Floyd said that he would be able to do. Is that something that is possible?
Let's let Floyd answer that question.
Oh, I should have given you a sheet, Floyd. I wasn't sure who you were. I'm sorry. Talked to you, but didn't know what you looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this is exactly what we would be able to and willing to do.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that helps with the computers. Anything I can say or provide in the way of information that would help you to reconsider the monetary request that we had for a 5% increase in the materials budget for the main library and the introduction of the new service? that we talked about, the streaming service.
Now, are you all still doing the law library?
We still have the law library. That has proved to be a valuable asset. Kathy let us have time out at one of the noon lunch times to promote that. That money comes from the court system. The county doesn't have to provide anything for that. It's generated from fees that people have to pay as part of the court system.
And that's the one service, if you will, that you have to go to the library to use. The others, you can use their program, what's it called?
The product that you have to use in the library is LexisNexis, and we'd like to make it available to the public, but they are just got that locked down like crazy that you have to pay a huge amount of money to have access that is not directly available. I mean, like Penn Stewart and some of the larger law firms, they have that in their offices, have even a more extensive version than what we have. We have a beyond the core version, and we do have some attorneys from some of the smaller firms that come in and use that. But the biggest use that we see is the general public that are coming in and asking information about, you know, landlord lease issues, child custody type issues.
Right, but I was just saying that the other program that Charlotte's talking about is if you have a library card, you can log into the library from your house, from your home computer, and go through some steps and access a lot of information that is available at the library.
Well, what the product that at this point I would recommend if we had the money to add the streaming service is called Hoopla, and it is a pay-as-you-use based service. Books are available, over 600,000 items are available from this service. And you download it like you would an electronic book on your Kindle, or if you're downloading something from Amazon, and you pay based on the use. More popular titles are more expensive. And you can set the use so that one person doesn't monopolize the use. And you can set a budget to spread it out so that you could have like $1,000 worth of this service available over a year. And the nice thing and the wonderful thing about it is for really popular titles that we don't have the money, nor can we justify buying 10 copies of a John Grisham book that's going to be popular for maybe a year, and then they're not so popular, and we're left with the expense of purchasing all of those, the space that they take up, plus the hassle of adding them to the collection, and then going through what we call the de-accession process. This would just be out there to use as people need it. And it has books and it has movies. We would be interested in featuring just the books as an initial start, but we would have to work that out with the company. They like to do the whole thing, the whole 600,000 items.
And just for full disclosure, Charlotte has a foundation that helps them supplement budget shortfalls, is what that foundation was created for, correct?
Yes, and they've been a lot of help with our building projects. They help tremendously with the furniture and fixtures that we have in the 3 libraries that we've built or renovated. And they have money set aside for a new main library if we get to that point. And right now they give us $10,000 a year that we use for electronic resources, that they help with the audio electronic books that people can download, and also with the print electronic books.
So any more questions, folks?
Another point I'd like to emphasize about that streaming service is when we thought about what the residents of Abington needed and how we could best meet those needs, this service would be of most use to the people that live in and around Abington, because when you get out to places like Mendota and, you know, Hydras Gap or even Damascus, you don't have the bandwidth to be able to download materials. So it might show up on your website, the library's website, that's there, but it wouldn't work. You could not possibly watch a movie, or you'd have to have a lot of patience to download a book, but it would work well in Abington.
According to the information that you've given us, the budget is $1,000 per month or $12,000 per year for each block.
We could set it up any way that we want. They let us spread it out. You know, you tell them how much money. If you have 6,000, you spread it out. What they recommended with the population our size was starting at 1,000 as a minimum amount, because if you start too little, you're going to get a lot of frustrated people. If you can only, have 500 uses, that would be about $500. That would equate to about 250 uses. That would build more frustration instead of building usage and support for the system.
They've got a program where people contribute books to them, and they have book sales. Their biggest challenge, and it wasn't anything that we could meet, if you will, but their biggest challenge is storage of those books for the year, because you just have that sale once a year, twice a year.
At least twice a year. And that's conducted by the Friends of the Library, and right now they rent 2 units to store, just 2 plain storage units, to keep those books. Part of them are books that we've taken from our system because they're those Grisham books that are no longer popular or they've become outdated. And then we get a huge number of items that are donated, just the general public that donates books. So they sort through those and they store them. They're selling some of them online because they can get more money. But then last year we started a new arrangement where we have climate controlled storage. It's down where the tattoo place used to be, down next to Southern States. And we take our books that every public library ought to have, like Plato's Republic, or The Call of the Wild, or something that we should have but that are not used. And we put a label on them in the catalog, and it says storage. But if a person wants that book, they can just click it, it sends a message, we go down and get that book, and then we will either call that person or send them an email that book has been retrieved from storage. And we did that because our shelves were so crowded. We didn't want to get rid of something that everybody may need access at some point, but it was a way of accommodating our limited space.
Any other questions?
How do you see online book viewing changing the public libraries as far as you being able to access a lot of this now at home? And so, I think in the works, a long time ago or several years ago, or maybe even currently, I think that it was talked about that the library needs to be bigger, increase more because of books. So how is that going to balance itself out with Google and online versus, you just talked about the old books that we need.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of
Well,
give us a little information?
we've been at this planning process for a main library for about 18 years or something. So we've not really, over those years, really changed our expectations for square footage, but we have changed them in regard to how we would use the space. What we have a lot of requests for that we can accommodate are people that want to meet at the library, to have some kind of a group study activity, or small groups that are meeting for class work or community work or committee work, and we don't have that meeting space. We also have a lot of people that want to come in and take advantage of the fast internet access that we have, bring their own equipment that they could hook up or use ours. So we don't see our book space getting any bigger than what it would have been 18 years ago. And it's probably reasonable that we would expect it to get smaller. But things like your children's collection, you need as many of those books as you ever did, because kids still need to come in and get their hands on those things. And I was just looking at I had a board meeting today, and I was looking at the statistics, and use of electronic resources went up 12%. That is the rate of increase so far this year. And that is the way that we're going, and the better that we can get at providing those needs, the better off we'll be. And regardless of what is out there through Amazon, downloadable audio, I mean, just face it, we have a large number of people in our community that can't afford that. A book that you download is going to cost you $10
Or more.
or more.
Charlotte, one of the things that maybe you might be able to do for Wayne and Cindy, because they weren't on the council when you presented that wonderful presentation about what the new building would look like, the design and layout, percentages of space, and how it would be used. It might benefit them, and then, of course, they can pass it on to the new council about that. Would you mind?
I would be happy to, love to do that.
And send that to Wayne and Cindy, and that will bring them up to date on what that building is designed and what it would look like, actually.
And one other thing that occurred to me, I just said to Greg, although the incubator board is bound by their contract to have to pay for each space as it's used, I think the town and the county, because they give some funding, this year it's 17% each to the incubator, if they saw that as a community need,
That's a good idea.
there are about 3 spaces that are very, very hard to rent, that you could get each governing body to ask the incubator board to let you all put your book sales in there, and it'd be a continuous operation. If your board, but it would have to be from the foundation. But if your board wanted to request that to each governing body, I mean, it'll be a process, but,
Sure.
you know, it would be after July 1st, I'm sure, but that is another option.
Are you having to pay for your climate control storage? So, maybe do you think that would be a possibility? Some of the books that will be on long-term storage, could there be a space?
We're not allowed to allow for storage, but we are allowed to allow for operations for the community.
That would be part of the operation, I don't think.
And that,
They'll save a
you
little
know,
bit of money every month. with that.
One of the struggles they have is having, like they have to set that book sale up twice a year, and it's a lot of work, whereas if they set it up one time and had designated days that they were doing that, then it would be a continuous thing. So that's another thought.
Okay, Betty Rife is one, and Susan Brown are the chairs of our book sale committee, so I will pass that on to them. And they're very much interested in having a retail space, but they wanted to make sure that they could staff it before they went down in that. So I will bring that up to them. They're always looking at ways of improving it.
And the challenge is we're not really equipped for retail sales. But we are now, if we're selling that online, that is another layer.
Operation, yeah.
It is. It's another layer in what the, in sales and technology.
Okay, well, I appreciate your questions. It gave me an opportunity to share some information about the library, and I will look forward to getting together with you all and just seeing what else that we can do with those new computers and just moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Miss Betsy White is next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and everybody, thank you for having me. And first of all, sorry that I wasn't able to get here last week, but I appreciate very much this minute, and I won't take but a minute. I did want to just basically bring you up to date on what's going on up at the museum, and the forward growth is going, and things are going very well, and to thank you for ongoing support of it. It's critical to what we do, and the things are going very well programmatically. Money is always an issue, so it's very, very much appreciated. And thank you for mentioning the Finley House a second ago. I'll just start right off with that. We did develop this partnership with the town, with the Finley House, with our O. Winston Link collection of photographs of the Creeper Trail there last spring, and had wonderful visitor numbers. I hope all of you all have been there. And it's gone very well, and I'd like to compliment Rick Statzer for doing his usual good work with maintenance, and he works very well with our maintenance crew. And you all have been wonderful about making sure the climate is right in there. We have to have the light and the climate right, or we'll damage those photographs. And that's working very well. Whenever we've had a little dust up with the humidity, Rick is really on it right away. We have lately in the wintertime we did. So just nice compliments to him, and I think this is going well. It's a good thing. It's gotten a lot of visitors. Also, we are about to break ground, so to speak, or break building with the county building. The annex that was built in 1953 for the William King High School and was vacated by the county about 5 years ago. As you know, we are renovating it and turning it into something called the Center for Studio Art and Education, which is going to be, I think, a really big, major asset for the town of Abingdon as well as Washington County, but particularly Abingdon as its growth in the tourism market. We are, the museum itself has developed a really wonderful relationship with the Tourism Bureau here. Jane and her staff are working very well with us, and we are building up a whole bus tour program, package tour, and all of this is going to feed into this campus build-up that we're doing, which includes the Center for Studio Art and Education. The building itself is in great shape, and so a lot of it is cosmetics on the inside. We will have artist studios, working artist studios, and as well as, excitingly, where the Board of Supervisors had their meeting room downstairs with the cement floor, is something that's called the Center, the Craft Pavilion. And that's where we're having the big, messy kind of things like glass blowing and a forge and blacksmithing, woodworking, lots of ceramics and kilns. And it will be open to the public, of course, and so pretty much what people like to see. I don't know if you all know this, but when all of us put together the Heartwood complex, we did not put studios over there because they were supposed to be over on our campus, and that was kind of derailed with the downturn of the economy in 2008. And so this is really a reiteration of that original concept. But excitingly, the other thing that's happened lately, and I know some of you were there for the big opening of our new Cultural Heritage Gallery for our permanent collection on the main lobby level. It was opened in December, and it's the first time that we've had a permanent gallery, a permanent exhibit for people to see. And it just happens to be something that's specific to our own heritage here. So it's really interesting to the visiting public as well as to our school audiences too. But it will be connected to the Center for Studio Art and Education with the Craft Pavilion, so that the visitor can see sort of the continuum of blacksmithing through the years. They can look at what was made here in the early 19th century and what's being made today, you know, right on the spot. The same thing with pottery. We have here one of the strongest pottery traditions in Virginia, as a matter of fact. And so our collection is just wonderful. When we put this gallery together, I examined the holes in our collection and sort of went after those things that we needed. And pretty much everybody said, yes, we'd love to give you this, that it's a perfect piece. So we have a wonderful collection and are showing that off. The community programs that we have had over the past year have also been very successful in introducing the campus. Our goal really is for this campus to be a big asset to Abingdon and a place that is used a lot by everybody. So these community events have consisted of Hike the Hill, which is coming up again for its second year. It's a nice 5K run or whatever you call those things around the campus. And then in the summertime we have that big messy with all the foam that the children run around in. And then at Halloween time we had the Haunted Hill. And all of those were well attended. The Haunted Hill just more so that we just couldn't believe it. We had over 1,000 people. I think we were prepared for 500. So we're going to be better prepared this upcoming time. So the other thing that's going on is inside. We've developed a lot of programming around our exhibitions, lectures. We have something called Tours of Two on Sunday afternoons. So things are absolutely going very well. I have brought, I see one right there, I think. The current exhibitions are really good. I'm sure you've gotten these in the mail, but so you will just remember them. I brought them here for you. Invite you over. I would like to just tell you that we have asked every other municipality in our big footprint in Southwest Virginia, which is why I wasn't here last week, as a matter of fact, for appropriation to the museum. We don't charge admission on purpose so that it can be free to everybody who lives here in Southwest Virginia. We are the only accredited museum within a large geographic area, so we feel like we have a big service to provide, and so we like to keep the admission free. And that was our biggest point to them, is that this is here for them. Plus, as you know, we serve the school systems of 13 school districts around here with our educational programs, which are also growing a whole lot. I won't tell you all about those unless you're just interested in them, because I'm trying to watch my time. I really appreciate you putting off your meeting to let me come back today. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
First question I would have is, how many counties do you serve at this time?
Our major county area is 9 in far Southwest Virginia.
And so you have gone and asked these 9
Yes.
counties for money
Yes,
also?
we have. And we've gone to visit them and made contact eye to eye with the county administrator and town manager. And those are going very well, as a matter of fact.
You know, I know also that the county or the town or both have wanted a museum for quite some time. So how do you think that this, the Cultural Heritage Museum how will that stem any tide to that, or how do you think that'll fit in with all that?
The new gallery? Well, the new gallery our collection is limited to decorative arts and material culture. So it doesn't have anything to do with straight, flat out history, which is, I know that everybody's been wanting that. In fact, I was the chairman of that study committee twice. And I think it could be a piece of it, a partner with it. I wish we could do that too. We've talked about it for a long time, and maybe we can. I'd be glad to help with it if we ever get around to finding a spot for it and doing it.
So you think it is filling a need right now?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I definitely do. I definitely do. If you haven't gotten up there to see that gallery, please do. We've got 3 super exhibits plus that gallery. Anybody else? Well, thank you so much, really, for your ongoing support. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
On an off note, does anybody know what's going on with the transmission place that closed, that's going up the hill to William King?
It's for sale.
Oh, I would love for the town to buy it.
Yeah, add it to our real estate collection that we can't take care of.
I know, it has never been empty since we've been there. And it's always been such an eyesore, and all of a sudden, during Mistletoe Market, it was empty. I sent Greg a message, and I said, Greg, it's empty, we have to buy that. Just give the museum just the edge of it so it'll match the other edge. Surely you need more parking.
So what are they asking for?
No,
I do. I found out.
I'm all ears.
$375.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It
I
sounds a lot.
know that some of the buildings on town are 600,000 right now, so.
Yeah, well, it sure would be nice. I'll leave you on
Thank you.
that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have heard both presentations, council. Let's just go back for a little review. Chuck, if you don't mind, scroll up to the under 10,000, the below and the,
You want to
no, go all the way up to the 2017-18 contingency there, the 73,223. And so we funded 5,000 to Arts Depot. Then we scroll down and we funded 4,000 to the Washington County Fair.
Hold on, the Arts Depot, did we fund them 5,000 or 5,400?
5,000, remember we had that whole conversation about their program, they had some kind of special program last year
Yep.
for their anniversary.
Okay, good.
So it was 5,000 instead of 5,400. What you just said.
Yeah, I'm not telling you we're stuck on this, I'm just reviewing what we did when we were in our meeting last week. So we came down to 10,000 for senior services operations.
That's out of this year and 25 next year.
So
No,
30
that 10's supposed to show up there on the Meals on Wheels line, Chuck. Because you told us we couldn't change the names.
Rick told me to put it all in one line, but I can easily change it.
I thought you were going,
I like it all on one
I
line.
thought we were
I do
gonna
too, but guys, in governmental accounting, you have to leave the same lines that you funded last year for 3 years. Now, you can
Well,
move it down.
You can
You
take.
can take it and move it down, but when you move it down and you take 10,000 out of Meals on Wheels, you're gonna get the same publicity you got last year. Because that's what we did. We moved it into operations and I
Okay.
told everybody
So,
we took it
okay.
out of it.
So that's 10,000 in Meals on Wheels and 25 in operations.
so then the operations, can we put on the operations unrestricted?
You can't change the names of lines. You can add another line and zero out the line that's on there, but I don't know why you want to.
The only way that line's gonna drop off is if it has zero in it. It'll stay there for forever as long as you keep putting money in it.
Right.
But it'll drop off after 3 years if you put zero in it. But I hear what Kathy's saying is that these people won't understand what you've done unless there's a way to clearly define it. I mean, we could define it in a letter, couldn't we, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, we can,
And then you can go down there and make a 565, whatever number is available, 5652 just for argument's sake. And you can say senior services, operations, and Meals on Wheels. And you can put the full 35,000 in that and have 0 and 0 on those other two. They don't drop off for 3 years.
Well, that would be good. I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be a pain in the butt, but
I'm not sure why it matters because they're
because
not.
before it's always been restricted and they couldn't use it for anything other than operations. And that's shorter than that time that we did that.
But everything is operations. That's not what we did was they were getting 25 in Meals on Wheels, 25 in operations. Or 22, it was 22.5.
25.
22.5. And we reduced the Meals on Wheels and put more in the operations, and that's how the publicity came out.
Okay. So, whatever you want to do, it's fine, and do it whatever way you want to do it.
I say you leave it like that.
Okay.
It holds their accountability that they're gonna spend at least 10,000 on Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
It's all right with me. Yeah.
I would just hoping that, I would just want that they would have the capability of spending another 25 on Wheels on this. If for some reason they're.
well, they can choose to.
Yeah,
I mean, they
okay.
can get 25 and wherever they want to put it is up to them. I
Okay.
mean,
Operations means no holds barred. Their board
Yeah.
decides where that 25 goes.
Okay.
Okay, come on down, and at 5653, last time you put 3,000 for White's Mill. Then EMS Council put 500. Small business incubator was 17,412.
that's out of current, that's out of next
Okay,
year's.
I'm sorry. Okay, come on down. So the Crossroads Medical Mission, you put 5. Community Christmas, you put 5. Animal Defense League, you put 5. Literacy Program, you put 3,500. Holston Mountain Artisans, you put 3,500.
And I will, there is a correction, it was 4,500 last year, I got a text.
So put 45 into that and see what
But it's-
if it makes a difference.
Because you're writing down about 11,000.
Okay. Then you put 75 in Cultural Heritage Foundation, 850 in the Rotary Frolics, 16,000 in the Economic Development Authority, and 667 in the Business Plan Challenge. That leaves you with $1,206 until June 30th. Are you all okay with that?
I am.
Cindy? You okay with that? Wayne, Bob?
Yeah.
And Rick? Okay, so we're good there. Now let's go back to our big funders.
Greg, you wanna, we got a little more than we had last time. You wanna explain that, or me too, or?
If you want to tell them what we did, Chuck, to come up with that, you have a larger number this go around than you did when we presented it before. We made some internal adjustments based on assumptions, but if you want to bring out the specifics for them, Chuck.
And we also, I mean, we had some additional revenue from the Commonwealth that we hadn't anticipated, so long story short, you've got about $28,000 more to play with than you had when we last met. I'll put it that way.
Okay. So let's look at Virginia Highlands Festival. Guys, they asked for 30. Let's key it in and see how short we are, okay? So do 30, are you all okay with the same amount Highlands Festival got last year?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Well, by them moving part of it outside of town, do you think that's gonna have a bearing on us?
I don't know,
I mean, I don't know either, it's something new. We wouldn't be getting the tax revenue we would where they were before, right, sales tax. So it'll be in the county.
Be outside the town limits.
But that's not very much, is it?
I mean, I don't know.
It's not, I mean, the sales tax, no, it wouldn't be very much.
And even the meals tax, they were down to 2 food vendors last year.
Okay, that answers it.
Well, the state collects the tax, so wouldn't they refund it in the same manner?
But none of it would trickle to the town because it's in the county.
You got the 1% of the tax that comes back to the county or the locality, then you've got, you want to look at it this way, out of that 1%, then the town gets 1/4% if it's in town, sales tax.
do you know how significant that number would be as far as the antiques market is concerned?
Minimal.
Okay, so then we're gonna come down to Christmas parade. Now, I remember that they always got 1,500. We, for some reason, have 5 in there, but I thought they always got 1,500.
So why are they in the group that's not under $10,000?
Because we ran out of money.
What, are you pulling up the history?
That's
Yeah,
the one that we didn't have funded and
Now,
we ran out of money.
They used to get 15, but the last
Last year
five.
was 500, yeah, it was 15 for years
Yeah.
before then.
Okay, so just leave 5, just put 500 back in there and let's see where we are.
Are we
If
on
you
the
all-
green page still?
I'm just looking up there.
Well, their red page has it in there and the whole thing, but it's.
Did Feeding America ask
There it
us for
is,
money
okay.
this year? Because I know we gave them money last year.
Didn't get a request that I see, 0.
We get
Is that 8,500?
Yeah.
That's what we gave.
Yeah, we gave them 8,500 last year, and I'm surprised that they didn't submit some.
Well, I've got a request for 10 on this sheet. 18 requests is 10,000.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, me too.
Somebody was making a presentation the other day, and they were talking about what we give Feeding America, and I thought, wait, I didn't see their,
Shows on
I was talking about.
2,000.
what was the meeting we were at?
Yeah, we were at the budget meeting, and I mentioned Feeding America and the other, the Meals on Wheels to.
Got the on in there, I didn't get anything to me when I did the notebook.
Well, I was just, yeah. But it says on this sheet.
I wonder how we, I wonder why we got this.
Do you
I don't know
want-
who did this sheet. Did you all do it?
I didn't see, we can go, I can, she's got requests.
I don't see it in the book.
Yeah, I didn't get it when I did the book.
But you didn't, I mean, we gave you
But-
everything we had.
This is what they're talking about. Feeding America. $10,000 request.
We'll check and see if we've got it, but I've got it, I'd stick it over there, just, I mean,
Yeah, but we've always before. if we
Just
didn't
put
get the-
8,500 in there right now,
but if
that's
we
what we
didn't-
had.
Well, no, but if we didn't get the request, we haven't been,
Here's what I think I know about that. Everybody that gets 10,000 or less got a letter, right? That said they didn't have to show up.
No, it's based on the request amount. If it's 10 and above, they got a letter saying to show up.
So if it was,
If they asked for 10, they should have got a letter, and we
Okay.
didn't mail them. It was, I mean, I didn't get it when I was doing the book.
all right. There's just a discrepancy because this says that they're requesting. Okay. Let's just put the 8,500 in there and let's see where we're short. Okay, then, now the Historic Society of Washington County, I thought we talked about the in-kind work we were doing and we were not gonna do a cash. Is that what we talked about the last time?
I wrote down 2,700.
Did you? Okay,
That's kind of what it's been.
I wrote down 2,700.
okay, very good. All right, now let's come on down to barter, 200.
In light of what they are not gonna be in the shortfall, we might wanna up that.
Well, I say we put what we gave everybody last year and see where we are, and then you can cut or add to,
Okay.
okay? Put
These are
85 in
small-
I'm just
the
saying, I'm just
These
I
are
know.
cost of trouble.
put 75 in the library.
So I missed the first part of Charlotte's presentation. What was it that she asked for that? Yes,
She and Floyd will be able to work to get those
On the
computers. They're
so
gonna
you
get
give
her all
them the
10 of them.
computers and 7,500.
But she still wants 7,500, so just put it in there. I didn't say we're gonna do it, I'm just saying, put in what we had last year, and let's see where we are. 85 there, 85,000.
Mhm.
Well, the request was for $55,000.
Who's?
Library,
Yeah, library was for much more than,
went from 75 to
Yeah.
55,000.
All I'm asking to put in right now is what we did last year.
If we do that, we'll be lucky we won't get it.
and then we got the White's Mill Foundation that you don't have anything in. And we
Faith
did-
in Action was 10 and 10 last year.
Which meals 3, Rick, out of this year's.
Okay. Oh, I see it, never mind. I see it.
Now, where are we? EMS Council.
Main Street,
Main Street, go ahead and put the 30. I'm not saying we're doing it, I'm
Oh, I
just
know
saying
that,
put
I
what
know
we did
that.
last year.
He's giving
Every time I look at you, you say that.
I know. Okay, let's scroll on down. And,
Veterans,
Veterans was 25. Crossroads last year was 8.
you found Crossroads out of 5 out of 17.
Okay. What's that? Oh, okay.
Brain injury,
Holston Mountain, we've got them.
No brain
Brain
injury.
injury was nothing,
Yeah.
Fairview
boys
was
and girls,
nothing.
nothing.
Right.
We're doing our own. Fairview, new request. So just leave it blank.
Leave it blank right this second.
Old Glade,
Leave it blank.
Did we ever get a signed contract yet, Greg? No.
Cultural
Okay.
Heritage we've done.
ASD,
ASD 0.
EDA funded. Now you're down to the ones that were new requests.
All right, now, are you down to everything that we did last year?
Yep,
All right, so, you're already 45,120 to the negative. We haven't given Little League any money or the Creeper Trail any money. And do you have the redevelopment housing authority in there?
yes.
Okay.
Where's
So-
Veterans Park?
Right here.
It's 25.
Okay.
Now, last time you talked about not giving Veterans Park anything until they got the other bathroom completed.
Yeah, the money for this year has not been used yet. I mean, Chuck's giving it to them, I think.
Yeah, they get it quarterly, but I don't know the status of the project.
Cindy,
I mean, I like to
you're
see
right
what- I like-
on that.
Well,
Glad
I
to see
know
what
what
they've done.
happened. Wasn't the planning commission, there wasn't a quorum, back, I don't know how many months ago, because we were talking about this in the meeting, the Veterans Park meeting. And then it kind of got pushed aside. I think we would already been under breaking ground on it if some of the steps hadn't been, and I'm not saying anything negative,
Right.
you're wanting to know, I'm
Right.
telling you.
I think it was approved, I'm pretty sure, by the planning commission in the absence of anybody showing up.
Well, didn't we approve it, the design?
Do you know, is
Didn't
Tyler
town
here,
council-
can he speak on behalf of? do you-
Tyler's out today, I'm pretty sure.
Rick, did the town council approve the design?
I remember seeing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
Rick made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went ahead, I'm almost positive that the planning commission, we went ahead and approved it, even though nobody from the Veterans Association showed up.
Well, and I didn't get to go to the meeting because we were in budget meeting this last meeing, so I don't know what was discussed during that meeting.
Well, if we get something.
No,
delivered, we
this
do.
was some time ago.
Well, I know it was on board to go, and I know that, but there was, seemed like there was something.
Because they were gonna break ground maybe in March. They're hoping to break ground in March.
I don't know what the stickler was, but there's something. But anyway, I hope that it'll get going soon. I know that everybody's wanting it, so we need it.
We need it.
I've got a few comments about some of those items whenever you all want, if you want to hear me.
What about the District 3?
It's fun.
Oh, sorry, no, let's see it. I see it over there. It's throwing me the gray over there.
That's just last year's.
Okay. Okay, guys, now scroll all the way down again. You're $45,120 in the hole. And I see that you don't have $4,000 for the mayor for next year, so put that in. Okay. Now you're close to 50,000 in the hole. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you, a couple things I want to mention is, right now, we're getting ready to undertake, if you'll recall last year when we did the William King appropriation, part of what they had requested in order to be able to get a grant that they are applying for their redevelopment of their building up there, was for the town to contribute $100,000 of in-kind contribution. They're just now getting the asbestos mitigated from one building. Our people are getting ready to start demolition on that and helping them with some interior work on the building that they're going to be renovating. So just want you to know up front that we're already providing them with $100,000 of in-kind contribution. All of that won't take place this year, likely. It'll go into next year. But that would be in addition to the $85,000 in cash that they are asking for.
You're talking about William King?
William King.
So what are you saying, that we could cut that?
Well, you could, if you wanted to cut that one, you could cut it, you could cut it some, but now I will tell you, from what Betsy says, they're getting ready to undertake the total renovation, so I'm sure that's why they've been going out to all the localities, is to get as much money as they possibly can. As far as I know, we're the only locality that's doing in-kind plus money. Now,
I think that's been the case for several years. A lot of these school systems have cut out the art program, and they're sending kids over here to get that aspect of their education. And I don't think that a lot of these localities or counties have been allocating any money toward the NK in the past. I hope they do this year. It's my understanding.
What would be the value, you think, of the in-kind contribution that we're making there?
well, what we put in the grant for them was $100,000. Whether it will translate out to that,
Oh, okay, okay, I missed that, I'm sorry.
yeah. And we have done other contributions to William King in years past, one being about a $600 and some thousand road project. So that entrance going up to William King was something that the town footed the expense for it. There was a slight land swap there for us to get some extra land, but we did that 2 or 3 years ago.
But of course, as we look at that, the same thing can be said of barter and some of the stuff that we do in kind for them, like rent for $1 over a period of umpteen years. And also when we did the addition here, and we ended up getting stuck for a bill for many $1,000s, and we did not hold that against them. I don't think that that could be held against, should be held against William King. In fact, one of the things we've heard in a lot of the tourism stuff is that in order to get people here and keep people here and be a tourism town, we have to have stuff for them to do. And William King is just one of those things that sometimes we have to have capital, we have to have outlay for them so that we can offer those, so that we can keep tourists an extra day.
Are they open on Sundays?
I don't know. I don't know. I was looking to see.
I'm sorry, Jim. I don't wanna do it in a meeting. Be noted, I'm not doing this in a meeting.
You wanna adjourn for a little bit?
Here's a random voice.
Rick can take over and take a recess if you wanted to.
Yes, if everybody's ready, we've been about an hour at, everybody take about a 5-minute recess, you go to the bathroom.
In an hour.
No, an hour recess. Let me think about that again.
I don't want to, Rick.
incubator business that I need to take care of. Okay, so we are back to the conundrum of a $49,120 shortfall as it currently stands. So go back to the senior center operations at 22.5.
I think we're gonna get more revenues than we were projecting.
But go back to the 22.
$49,000 worth.
Go back down there to 25. And I'm gonna, Cindy and Wayne, you all are gonna be operating this budget, so take a look at all that and see what you think about the shortfall.
Well, I know it's kicking a can down the road, but, I think we could cut to William King, but I know Rick's opposed to it, and, with his comments. I think we can live with a little bit less contingency. I don't know how Cindy feels about that.
We know if you split the contingency, if you, instead of having $75,000 contingency, if you took, had a $55,000 contingency, it'd be $20,000, and then take about 5% right across the board cut to everything, that might get you there. And then that everyone would take a 5% hit.
I just think that's wrong on some of those.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can go line by line.
For instance, I just think we're gonna have to go line by line because, there's several of them up there that it's almost, I don't wanna say required, but,
Well, one of the things, the flip side of this is, no, well, not the flip side, is the face side of this is that we have two things that aren't even funded that really could be another $40,000.
and what's that?
That's the Late Spring Tractor Club in Fairview.
I'm not allocating any money to Glade Tractor Club until the lease is signed.
Well,
You all can do what you want to.
Well, I'm not gonna either, but I got a phone call. I got a phone call from someone that said that Jim would sign that contract, the one we had, if we just get it to him. But I said, I think it's already to him.
He's got it.
He's got it. I sent it to, I've signed it and sent it to him. It's just, would need his signature on it.
Well, going back to the original question, this is to Cindy, and I don't know whether Cindy agrees with this or not. I think we can live with a smaller contingency. And I'm okay with cutting out some of the funding for the Veterans Park, even maybe all of it, because they haven't, and it's not to punish them, but they haven't used the money that we've already given them for the purpose that we, I think it's reasonable to just let them spend that first, and they can come back to council. If we've got the contingency left, then.
That's what'll happen, they'll come back.
Well, that's okay.
What's the bottom line again, Chuck? 40?
Okay, Chuck, so
50.
Cindy's okay with that and the rest of the
Well, I
council?
was just, okay, I'm listening. I'm not
Okay.
mad. I'm not mad.
Cindy hadn't agreed to that.
Well, again, none of these numbers are set in stone until we walk away. So let's just look at Wayne's scenario. Take the 25 out and do council contingency down to 55. Now you're only $4,120 short. So now, if you want to cut
Well, if you cut
either
the-
the library or William King or a little bit of both, you can fix it.
If
Well, we had
you
somewhere-
took the council contingency to an even 50, you've got it fixed.
That's true.
Let's see what that does.
Maybe 60 on
That's it.
that. That'd be 60 on that.
That's it.
$80.
Yeah.
Now you got $880 more. So your council contingency then could be about
Cindy and I'll split
50,000.
that.
So put 50,880 for council contingency. Now you got it balanced. Can y'all live with that?
I'm all right with it.
I'm okay with it.
Cindy, you want to talk?
What are we doing with the park again? Leaving it as it is, or should we cut some?
We could.
Good, if you'll
We
accept
could
it.
zero. because, Rick, what do you think about that? You're on the committee too. What-
Yeah, I am, and I tell you what, I have mixed emotions. I can tell you right now, because I fought for money for every year for them to do a project. And I want to see that, we absolutely positive with the Veterans Park have to have 2 bathrooms, one on the south side, one on the north side. But I can't see them building 2 bathrooms this year. I think they'll build 1 bathroom this year. And so, that being said, I can't see where they probably need the money this year. I hate to cut them out flat, hold them to 0, but, that's why I wish we could get a hold of him, and just to talk to him and ask him what his feel about it is. But, he doesn't need the money if he's not gonna spend it. And if he's just gonna keep it kind of in an escrow account to use on the next bathroom, then that could be made up. I mean, that's not something that, we've
Do you
given
wanna
them.
ask him? I mean,
I think that's.
do you wanna
proper.
ask him about that and ask him what he feels about that, or the board, or?
You know his number?
107 608.
Hold on.
It's
Bob's
pretty good.
impressed.
Impressed. It's a lawyer thing.
Mhm.
His office number used to be 628-8107.
Right.
So how he got that worked out, I don't know.
Do we still have the reserves that we need?
Let me go call David Millsap just to make sure.
In our account,
Did we
we had to
put
have
anything
certain,
in
we had to have
there?
certain reserves in order to maintain a bond.
Scroll up to, we did put the 85 in. Yeah, let me call David Millsap.
I don't think we got a request on theirs. I mean,
I'm not sure if he knows that too.
I feel almost certain. If Kim don't have it and I don't have it, we didn't get it.
You ready to go?
I don't know, did they have a director?
I know Dixie's phone
Then you've got the creek trail.
Wayne, you work out there sometime, does David Millsap still work for?
Yeah, he was the last chamber breakfast.
Would you break that cookie in half? Well, cookie half? No, thanks. Bill?
He just needs the ears.
Have any documents saying
The ears.
how much is that bathroom gonna cost that we're building? Is that 75,000? A little bit more.
Mine is too, that's why I'm standing there.
I wish I could. This is your name.
Okay, and I may have to go because I had to come back home with adjourn. This time in the meeting.
Yeah, seems like, yeah, hot my goals to do it.
Right. Okay, well, that'll help, just get it started, so what is that?
You just give us a lead, you know, if you're doing your copies.
Budget message, your statistics will be information of mine. Within a couple of weeks.
See you later, okay.
Hey, Chuck. Calendars.
All you do is pick it up, it's interesting.
But next year, but it's the same.
Well, you're still, as long as the project's still going, you can look at like great, maybe the bond.
When do we have to turn that around?
It's,
I just pulled out.
almost, you've got 2 more years.
I'm asking you, is that, was it 90, okay, so this July?
Yeah.
Wow, I saw those dogs this morning.
No.
And they
We
were
don't.
having spin outs chasing each
Look
other.
at these numbers, we keep.
Well, it keeps pulling Maggie's tail, might not.
I was thinking 75, that's somewhere in the figure range.
Water keeps messing.
They had some grass and dirt flying, spinning
They
around.
have two tails right there at the door. When you come in, you gotta wipe their feet. You can track them up the kitchen floor. Sometimes they'll slip in, makes a mess.
I take it from the plat that part of, the neighbor on the other side, what's his name?
Paul Reed.
Reed.
Gave him a little bit of property because really, from his house to, you know, that's right, the original line was like, not this far. So he got
Yeah, and then digging it out and everything.
the way I built my fence, it actually would have come over on the property we're trying to sell, so it just kind of moved it over a bit.
Didn't want to have to redo that fence.
No, I didn't mind the fence.
The water lines and everything.
How much interest do we make on our reserve account?
Not even hardly worth
Not
counting. Used to, you know, when I first started, we
Oh,
were
yeah,
getting
you could-
$250,000 a year off of interest. You riding with the top down today, Al?
Not today, no. What kind of car you got?
I have two Volkswagens. One's
What?
two Volkswagens.
Two Volkswagens.
Yeah, one-
Beetle with a convertible?
One's a Beetle convertible, yeah. It's fun.
You going through a midlife crisis or what?
Late life crisis, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Just from one stage to another, it's always a crisis.
Well, that was a triumph phase.
Okay.
Austin Healy?
The Austin's it.
Most of them.
You should know better than send me out for a 2-minute talk with them, and I guess I was like,
I told Kathy, when she suggested somebody call, I said, we'll be here till 6 o'clock.
well, I'll wait till they get back to say, but basically, Emmett said that right now, they think they have enough money to do the bathrooms. He just wants to make sure.
Bathrooms?
Bathroom, one room, bathroom. Well, it's multiple bathrooms in a bathroom, in a bathhouse. So you want structure. So anyway, but he said that, the only thing he would want to make sure is that if they have some shortfall, for some reason, you know, there's a pole has to be moved up there and some things, some of the stuff the town can do, and sometimes, you know, and someone else has to do it, and, you know, he wants to make sure that, you know, that, well, there's some contingency money laying around to get help out. And I said, they were all holding $50,000.
We'll just turn off the grade and he'll find the little shortfall.
Sometimes he can.
Well, sometimes we can, sometimes we can
Well, if
do,
we
sometimes
can't
we
do
can
a
do
truck,
some
can't, I know
in-kind.
that.
I know. So, I went to Cindy's thing. So Cindy, I talked to Emmett, and he said that, of course, he would rather have money now, but they have enough money to do the bathroom up there, the one that's gonna be on the side close to the visitor center. And so they have the money for that, they think. He said there's some things that they have to do, some infrastructure stuff, like have a telephone pole moved, and some stuff that the town can do. One of them is the sewer maybe, or something something that up there has to be moved. And so of course, he would rather have the money now. But if he couldn't have the money and they run some shortfall when they do that bathroom, it's just, there's some contingency money, and he said he wouldn't think it would be that much. In fact, even when we talked, I think he said $10,000 or $15,000, that there'd be some contingency money that could be drawn off of to finish that up. If it needed, he said, might not even need it. And so, and I said, I told him, I said, well, I'm sure they would thank you, and then that'll bounce that day.
So you all okay then with all the numbers that are in? I put in a call to David Millsap, and he didn't answer, and I texted him, he didn't answer, but.
Yes, you know, his
but
mother,
this-
his mother and his uncle died within the last
Yes,
3
and,
weeks.
but this sheet, even though there's nothing in here, this sheet says that they requested 10,000, so I don't know the answer to that.
What do we
So
put
we've got
down? We put
8,500.
And we got, what we did last year was 8,500.
Well, then that's,
I think that's,
I'm comfortable with that.
The
You all right
only,
with
the
that?
only remaining question for me is, this Creeper Trail Club. That's the only thing that I'm concerned about. I don't know that much about it. What would we be doing to them?
And the Little League, did we give them anything?
I don't think we can give them myself.
But here's the thing about the Little League, they're not gonna have their tournament until next July.
Mhm.
And so they'll know more of how many people's coming, when they're coming and all that at the end of, somewhere at the end
Oh,
of.
they'll know by probably
This time next
June.
year.
We'll know by this time, it'll be in June probably.
Right, and so this time next year, they will know what they might or might not need. And at that point, you can see if there's no leftover contingency money, Greg may have some money in the general services line or one of the other lines that you all could move from one line to another and appropriate.
As long as it's not.
The only, like I say, the only question I got is, what are we doing to the Creeper Trail Club if we don't fund it?
Well, the Creeper Trail Club, they hadn't asked us for money in a while now. I met with Rachel and Lisa Quigley not long ago, and originally they were going to be asking for a big number, close to the same number as barter. And what they wanted to do is to basically create sort of an endowment type of fund for the Creeper Trail for the future repairs and what have you that are going on out there. What they're doing in the meantime is they're changing their name. They're already a 501c3. They're changing it to, I think, Virginia Creeper Trail Foundation, in order that they'll be able to be raising money and applying for grants. They wanted the $10,000 as seed money to help get that off the ground and start it. One of the things that we've talked about over the years that I think could go a long way in that regard is we could perhaps, and we'd have to work with Damascus and maybe the National Park Service on this, but we could perhaps put the whole trail in a conservation easement. And if we did that, it would eliminate development, along the trail. And it would also, without approval from the appropriate authorities, and it would also open up some grant funds. And this is what we got out at the muster grounds.
It would generate a lot of money too. It might-
And that could be what you dump into that foundation to get them off the ground is.
They could put $1 million in there or more.
Maybe, but if the people with deep pockets saw that we had managed to get that kind of money and get it into a foundation, then people will start donating to it.
Can you find $10,000 in that budget, 18-19 budget, to add to that, out of all your line items?
I don't know. I mean, Chuck and I nickel and dime just to get
531.
get you all to 531.
Is there anybody else on there that you all are willing to cut at least, I don't know, three 3,500s or 2 5,000s or 4 2,500s?
I'm willing to cut William King 5,000 if we're giving them, if it's real that we give them anywhere near $100,000 in in-kind services. I'm willing to do that.
All right, you're also giving the library books. Are you willing to cut them down to 2,500? And, and the computers.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
I mean, they only asked us for 5 originally. We're giving them 12.
Yeah, I'm willing to
10,
do
I think. But anyway, so Chuck put 25 on the library, put 80 on William King, and come down and put 10 in the Creeper Trail Club and see if it's still the same number. All right, Now, can you give everybody can you make that smaller so everybody can see a snapshot so that they are sure about what they're doing?
Brenda went back and checked our records. We did not receive a request from Feeding America.
It's on the sheet y'all gave us.
I mean, that may be what they got last year, but I'm just saying, this year, I had 0 in there because I had it highlighted that they hadn't requested anything.
No, they got 85, they've been getting 85, but evidently there's 18 requests that came in for 10 from somewhere.
There's a sheet here, Chuck, that says
They may be
10,000 requested.
Picked up the number from another line or something.
And how much is the Abbott and Little League wanting? I've got the email. 18,000. It's not that I don't want to give it to them, I do. You know,
Well, and we're doing a lot of in-kind work there as well, and purchasing some equipment
Right,
for
right.
concession
Right there.
stands.
10,000.
Then I do know that there is a donor out there that's going to contribute quite a bit to this
I
cost.
mean, I
what
think
we're-
it's a work, it's a fine program.
Right.
And I have an upcoming meeting with them, and I'll mention to the Little League, and I'll mention it to them that, you know, what we've done and the reason it's been done, and let them know that, you know, when it comes time for the state tournament, they need to come back with us if they've got a shortfall.
One of the things, I mean, I'll weigh in on this because I have helped with state tournaments and I participated in them. We didn't get a dime from Russell County to host the state tournament. Not the first penny. They didn't give us a dime. We had to do it all through our organization, through our fundraising, through whatever.
And the Little League itself gives you, the district gives you money.
District gives you money to help host it.
The state gives you money.
State gives you money to help host it, so.
I'm trying to figure out what $18,000
Yeah,
will buy.
I just have I've been there and done that, and I don't understand why they're coming.
At 18,000.
At 18.
I have a grandchild, 2 grandchildren play, and of course I was a Little League coach for 10 years, and of course we never hosted a state tournament. We tried to prep to get ready for one, but $18,000, God, we didn't have that for a budget for the year, man. We thought we'd died and gone to heaven if we'd done it.
Well, I mean, you know.
We went to state Little League tournaments all over Virginia, everything from Louisa County to Tuckahoe, and that was the 2 extremes. And it's as unique and different as every local government is.
We sold pancake tickets.
No, you didn't make any pancakes, you sold tickets.
We sold so many Krispy Kreme donuts, we had to buy a pickup truck.
Well, when I was the team mother, we had a yard sale, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And we sold those little stick candies, the Lifesavers, what is it, Lifesaver Suckers or something, and little candies and all that mess, and for band and all, so familiarization with fundraising, we are.
Now,
All of us.
So, just for council's information, are you all okay with this budget? I'm gonna give you all, I'll tell you a couple things.
Well, if you're okay with it, then you've not cut anything.
I'm okay with it, Kevin.
Senior
You wanna look at, Rick, you wanted to see just kind of the preliminary where we're at.
Money.
I'd like to see that.
Okay, I'll be glad to pull it up and just,
Please, that helps me in the law.
just kind of give you this.
Or if you could just copy both of those sheets and give everybody a hard copy.
Yeah, I'll give everybody a hard copy of that, but Rick was wanting to see where we're at in whole, I thought.
I did.
And, I can just kind of go through this. It's not complete, it's not finalized, we still got numbers to plug in, but, you got 18, 19, and 19, you got the 2 years overlay. We've got $6.7 million in capital projects. Sewer budget's $3,247,000, that includes the rate increases.
Yeah, thank you. Wait a minute, stop right there. Are you all, we got an email from Sarita.
Yeah.
Is everybody
Yeah,
okay?
I think
That's-
I'm
That's the
okay.
proper way to go.
Yeah, I
I
do
think it's
too.
5% and 7.5 for commercial and then 10% and 12.5 for out of town.
We really need to get ahead of any backlash on the sewer funds, or the sewer, to let people know that it's gonna cost, what'd you say?
$1.15.
$1.50
For
more.
first 2,000
for
gallons.
2,000 gallons. I don't think anybody would complain about a $1.15 increase.
It's in town. It's in town.
In town, yeah, so, but I think that if somebody says, oh, you went 5%, they're gonna do, their 5% is probably $10, they're thinking that.
Well,
So-
out of town, they're causing us to, they're
Subsidize
causing
everything
us
there.
to do the studies to, see what it takes to upgrade
Yep.
that for their purposes.
You're right.
You're right.
General fund is 12,851,892. It's down, as you can see, from last year. Sewer fund's up just a little bit, but that includes what Mr. Craig's talking about, the study money, and also money for repairs to mains that can't be handled by our department. They're gonna look at doing some contracting out of some of those things, and then you got your capital projects. Just kind of, I don't know why this didn't come through when it pulls through, but you get the values here of what these are. There's a summary of capital projects, what's going on next year as far as the different pieces of it. I have worked with Matt on these to get these numbers as, this is his anticipated expenditures for all those different projects. Got Kevin's in here for the Watauga project as well.
How is that coming along, by the way, buddy?
What?
Watauga?
Watauga is still with,
Waiting on the county.
yeah, Kevin was, supposed to hear from the
We've been
county
waiting on
on
the
Friday.
county for a
and
long
they-
time.
They did not.
What's wrong? What's wrong with you guys? Hey, county, do you see us? We need some help from you guys, come on.
I think it's planning.
I don't care who it's planning or whomever, it's just, it's been there with them how long?
Well, it was supposed to have been approved before Thanksgiving.
So I guess if somebody gets hit or killed out in that spot, it's gonna be on them. It's a dangerous spot.
It is.
Real dangerous, guys.
These are just the departmental budget comparisons. Those are, the asterisk means they're not complete. I've got to finish.
Would you start at the top again on that, Rick? Comment on any of those?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
I think,
That's okay, keep going. So you think the municipal insurance is gonna go down?
where was that, Chuck?
Yeah, it did go down.
Yeah.
It's some
Yeah, we switched, this is first year with, Vacorp, isn't it?
largest 5 budgets, you got them listed here. You've got, PD over 2 million, street department 1.9, the rec center 1.3, tourism 735,000, and parks and playground 661,000. So those are your top 5 departmental budgets. Here's the rates, and like I said, I've got in here proposed. You see what that goes to there on the sewer side. Any questions on any of that?
What we anticipate in terms of procedure moving out is that, hopefully by Friday, you all will get a digital copy of the draft balanced budget only. Chuck and I will finalize, he'll finalize his charts, I'll finalize the budget message, and by probably about the 15th of April, you'll have the full book with everything in it. but you will have a draft budget to you by Friday.
And I can see it electronically, and then Floyd's gonna get copies printed as well.
Yeah, there's no use in us printing them until we get the full book together, and that'll be about the middle, about the time you get.
But I'll get you an electronic copy.
So do you have a recommendation as far as employee wages are concerned this year?
It's built in
2%.
there of 2%.
Now, that does not include any of the folks that are getting an automatic boost.
No, none of the 25,
So
not the
they're just
living
at
wage.
25, and then that's everybody else. Did that include council appointees?
No.
No,
Okay.
includes nobody else.
So that leads me into the last two questions that I had of the day. One, council, is, we said in a meeting sometime back that we would do appointee evaluations in April. And we also, we're gonna have to look at that. There's not 2% inserted for council appointees, so you just told me that you squeezed the budget and had a hard time finding any additional anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, with the cost of insurance that went up, of course, we made some adjustments with what the employees had to pay, and to give them a cost of living adjustment. There is some money in my discretionary line, depending upon how much money, if you allocated any for council appointees, that could be reduced out of that. That's still in there, right, Chuck?
How much is that, Chuck?
25.
So, before we go any further with that, you all just put that under your lid for a second and think. And I want to bring something up that is kind of, when I'm blowing my hair dry and have my head turned upside down, I get blood in my brain and I actually think sometimes. Imagine that.
And I'll do away with that hairdryer.
Exactly. We were at the town park today, or Sunday, and it occurred to me that we've never named that park. Lois was the mayor when we swapped property. We swapped property that Highland Union Bank owned for the park property. And
paid significant.
Yeah, and paid.
Yeah.
And paid a significant amount to do the park, and then we actually got that road. And roads are harder to name than parks, and I would like to put on the May agenda, and so you all can think about this till May, that we name the park across the street from the post office, the Lois Humphreys Park. There's a plaque down there that commemorates Lois as far as that caboose is concerned, but there is no building or structure or anything that is named after Lois Humphreys, and she was the mayor for 12 years? 10 years.
I looked at it. It was on the council for 20.
Now, Rick just now is hearing this.
I did. I didn't know.
I will tell you all, because I didn't want to, But I do want you to think about it, and I have asked Greg and Kim to put that on the agenda for May. That's one of those things you'd like to be able to keep a secret until you did it, but we can't. So.
I'm okay with it too.
I know.
We can't vote here.
I know, yeah, and I know that Mom certainly wouldn't, she would consider it quite an honor.
And she wouldn't ever ask for it, and
No,
all
we can't
these
bury
things-
her there.
Right.
You
all
can't
these
bury her
things-
there. She's gonna say, can I be buried there? She can't be buried there.
And what I'll say about that.
You can't have a mobile home on that.
Oh, shut up, shut up. All I'll say about all that is that, at some point in time, the town may or may not, develop that property. But you can always have a plaque or something, but at this moment, it is a park. And I would like to see it be named after Lois, if you all are okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
Well, nothing's forever. you know. My dad had the garden center down at Southern States named the Paul Humphreys Garden Center. And of course, when that sold, it, so nothing lasts forever. You know, and it would be nice for her. And let me tell you something, when you honor people, it should be for the living, you know, not for the dead.
Right.
I agree with that.
The other thing is.
So when she's gone, we'll name it after all of us.
The other thing is the Creeper Trail Club's dedication to French is going to be April the 28th at 12 o'clock. Mary Ann said that she thought it was time to do that while French was still able to get out. She wanted it around 12 because she does need the morning to help get him ready and all of that stuff. So that's April the 28th at 12, right before Creeper Fest starts.
And I'm gonna have to say that I will not be able to be here because my oldest daughter is graduating college.
On the
We
28th?
understand.
I think that's the convergence of the universe. That's that's the Fern
Wedding.
Page wedding, and it's going to be right down there at the Creeper Trail almost too. And then there's that, and it's my sister Jill's birthday. Jill, she's my older sister. She'll be 77. But she's not watching.
Oh my gosh.
Greg will not be with us until.
Well, now I went to college with Jill. That's a slap in the face.
Oh, she's not watching.
That's what I got to do.
Huh?
Hey Kathy, I know this isn't on the agenda, but I'd like to pick up on something, if it's all right with you.
Sure.
I'd like to pick up on something that Greg mentioned. Now is the time to bid projects and get them under construction, and I'm concerned about what Rick's talking about. Can we at least write a letter, or maybe one of us attend the board of supervisors meeting and bring this to their attention, or should we go to Jason Gregg, right?
Well,
Yes, I thought.
You know, I can call Jason and see about doing that, but let me, while you're talking, let me send Kevin a text and make sure he hasn't gotten approval since
I
Friday.
mean, if you ain't got it, just make a call and let's sit around here. Let's talk. All of us talk to Jason.
Let's don't.
Hey.
So let's then go back to a couple things, and I reported this to you all the last time. Chuck, when did you start?
About 4 years ago.
No,
November.
but when were you appointed treasurer? You worked for Greg for a little while.
Yeah, the last election, whenever y'all. Yeah. so
May.
It's been
You started May of 2016 and
Or July.
was it 16, Chuck, or 14?
Yeah, it was 16.
Okay. Chuck started in 2016. He was appointed treasurer July 1st, 2016. And he is still at his starting salary, which is 80. I'm going to refresh your all's memory again. I think Deb said 100. You're at 100?
Years old, not quite. 100,
Salary.
100, yes, about
It's like 100.
104.
100,400 or something like that, or 104,000. Greg's at 140 and something. And I'm going to read to you all again, one of the towns that has an equivalent population.
Is that Percyville?
That's Percival. The mayor's salary is $7,025, and each council member is $5,750. We are at, the mayor's salary is $8,500, and the council is at 60, what, Chuck, 65?
I can pull it up.
Somewhere
Give me a
around
second.
I didn't bring that file down, I have all that.
Now, the difference-
25,
No, I don't think any of us are going. I mean, I'm not going to vote for any increase
I'll log
myself.
on.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting around to is, council, the one thing that you can just save some time with is if you want to leave council salaries and mayor salary at the same amount, or do you want, what do you want to do with that?
I thought we already talked about this.
We did,
Well,
but it's in
loosely.
conjunction with finishing the budget. So is that how you want, is that,
Yeah, I'm going to include it.
okay, very good.
No, the rest of them.
I'm waiting for Chuck to.
No. I think we also indicated we're gonna talk a little bit more about the fire department. There was no money left, but we did want to say something, I think.
I'll go ahead and talk.
Okay. While Chuck's doing that, Bob wants to talk a little bit more about the fire
Well,
department.
the initial request, of course, was for 4 paid people during the day. That wasn't funded, and we can do that. We can use part-time people. We have $175,000 in here for part-time pay, $12 an hour. We can live with that. That will fund somebody there 5 days a week, from 8 to 4, 4 people. And we can make that happen. I think last time I mentioned the possibility of 2 paid people that John would work with to help with his inspections. Of course, we would get money back once these people are trained, when they would come back to the town. But in talking to him this morning, he suggested maybe if we could find funds just maybe for 1 person right now. Try to do 1 person to help him with his inspections. They would be able to inspect more businesses, more money coming back. Because we don't have any funding for that 1 person.
And firemen would be eligible for Leo's, which is time and a half for
This 1 person.
this 1 person and John and Steve.
Well, John, because of his age, we said that we would not put him under that umbrella because he would never qualify.
CJ doesn't qualify, I don't think either, because he's
part-time.
Part-time on the fire
Yeah,
department
CJ's
side.
part-time.
Does CJ help with the inspections now?
No.
Can he?
Probably time-wise, I'd say no. To do the IT stuff. And he's not trained to do that. This, building inspections is what this person needs to be trained. So John's trying to do the building inspections plus being a fire chief at the same time, which I think he's kind of found out that there's not enough time to
But
really do it.
what you're saying is though that John's there Monday through Friday,
Right.
9 to 5.
Yep.
And then you
8:30
have,
to 5.
then you have 4 part-time people each
8
day.
to 4, Monday through Friday. We were looking at going 6 days a week, but we found 5's probably the best number. There's usually people around on the weekends that can respond.
But you all can fill in for the fire department if he's away on the inspection, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna run the calls, and if he's tied up on inspections, he depends on what he's doing, I guess. He could either respond or continue on the inspection.
So can any of those part-time folks, or have they been working with
None of
him
them
on?
have been trained.
How much does it cost to get trained?
That I don't know. I think it's probably, he would do a lot of the training, and they have to take some kind of certification test to be a certified inspector, to go out by themselves, I think.
Do you think you could pick 2 of those part-time folks and get some funding allocated for their training? And then
Well,
take a look at it
we
afterwards?
need 2 part-time folks.
The ones that you said are there from 8 to 4.
There's 4 people there.
Right, but I'm saying 2 of them.
Well, he said he thought that maybe 1 person could get 1 person to do that. You still have money for the 4 people there during the week.
I think that I'd like to look at the 4 full-time, part-time people, if we could, right now.
Okay.
Because of the money crunch, and see if he could get, if he could train, to
One of
cross-train
those?
them. He could cross-train any of them to take places when they have available time and take his place, or help fill in for him.
Okay.
How much time is he able to dedicate his service per week? I mean, I know that varies because of the amount of calls, but how much time do you think he gives to that service to help
The
pay for that
inspection
truck?
service? I don't know, I mean, I'm not there every day. I'm there 2 days a week normally. Sometimes I never see him because he's out inspecting. And then some days he's there all
Yeah,
the
they stay
time.
busy,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you asked the question about how many applications we have right now. We're gonna look at 12 Thursday night. Out of those 12, you may have 6 that might be good candidates, that might make it, and then once they get into it, they may not like it, and you may end up with 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is in this business.
Do they also get paid per time that they go out?
Yeah.
Part-time folks?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, no, not during the day. If somebody's working an 8 to 4 shift,
Uh-huh.
they're just paid straight
Straight
$12 an hour for that shift, and if they have 6 calls during the day, they still make the same thing. They're not included in their calls. We're probably about 20 calls a day last year right now.
One of the other things y'all need to be aware of with regard to John is, in addition to the regular inspections, now that we have the homestay ordinance, he's doing the homestay inspections as well.
How many homestay permits have we given out?
You know,
We have 2 that have complied
2.
so far.
So there's about 10
There's
of
several that get the package and things, but then they come back in and realize that they're really not homestay because that has to be their primary residence. So that's trying to educate, we're still in that place right now.
So they then wind up applying for a bed and breakfast.
Right, or.
which is the smart things for them to, because of the limited amount of days the homestay has. It's smart for them to apply for a bed and breakfast and pay that than it is the other. And it's easy,
Exactly.
it's easier really for them. I don't understand why they wouldn't want to do that, apply for bed and breakfast.
Yeah, because you get full benefits for more days, 365.
Yeah, you're
But we don't-
living
So
down on days.
let's go back to the
I'm sorry.
fire department.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So, yes, you're allowed to say whatever you want to.
Well, I mean, we can talk about, I was talking about the same thing Rick was going
Go
to,
ahead.
expand, but we need to stay on the fire department.
Yeah, let's stay on the fire
okay?
department right now.
But I mean, I'm not against the fire department in
Right.
any way, okay? I want the world to know this, because I know we need them, we need you guys, and y'all keep us safe, and we thank you all so much for everything y'all do. But I think if we could look at cross-training some of the part-time people, like I just said, to help inspect, then that might help us in the long run as far as an expenditure. That's $50,000 plus Leo's. Right now, I don't think that we got it, do we, Mr. Kelly?
based on what Chuck has pulled up there, no, there's not money there.
It would have, the only way to do it is raise some kind of tax.
Bill the county for what they're supposed to be paying.
Hopefully.
Have y'all had the meeting yet with them
No,
about
not
things?
yet, but hopefully, do you have any more information about that meeting?
No, you know, I suspect that we can't get it scheduled until we get through the budget process, which is a bad time to do it actually, because we need to do it before the budget.
We got that horse out there.
I mean, it might go far if, I can call Jason again. It might go far if somebody could call the chairman of the board.
Call someone, call Sal, Sal.
Mr. Hernandez. Yeah,
He's chairman's still, ain't he?
I think
Yeah,
you did
I
get
think
chairman.
so.
Give him a chance, see what yeah, he's the man.
And then there's Allison.
If it's okay with you guys, I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I can't call the elected people.
Yeah, but she's also, but also the town representative along
Yeah,
with
I'll be
people.
glad to. I know some.
This year, that's what we did.
No, next year.
It's a good
He
guy.
just mentioned
He is
this.
a good guy. Nice guy.
One thing that did come up in the forum last night was school resource officers, which all the counties agree that they're necessary. But, and I know Tony wants to pay for 2, but we're already paying. You know, we talked about this before, we're already paying county taxes. But we're giving them 2 officers in the high school and middle school, which I feel like my money should be paying through the county taxes.
I didn't understand the candidates saying we need more resource officers. We already got 2. Are they saying we need more?
No, they're saying that the county needs to have probably 1 in each school. And they
Sorry.
requested more in this last
25.
budget, but, see, they're requesting more, and they're putting these in these other schools where we're
Yeah, I
paying for 2
understand.
officers.
And Kathy can, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say Kathy can give you the background on the resource officers. The
All
Homeland
of us
Security,
can.
no, we don't all of us can't. Homeland Security paid for one of them.
Two.
They pay
They
for
paid for
paid
two,
for- yeah.
but it was only for 1 year.
They paid for 2 resource officers for 1 year.
Yeah, ask Greg, I don't know
Yeah,
exactly.
it was for 2 years, and then they.
Which is great, but, you know, we're continuing on that,
And then we absorbed that, we didn't just continue them, which was, the logical thing was, take the money for the 2 years, and then we would back off of it, and not do it for the unfunded years, because basically what it ended up being was, it was a partly funded mandate, but then after 2 years, it was an unfunded mandate. It wasn't a mandate either, it was just unfunded.
It was a grant that you applied for, it wasn't, it was a grant that lasted for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, you had to make a decision as to whether or not to keep the resource officers and pay for them, or not keep them. That was the bottom line.
Then we decided to keep it.
I don't remember voting on that.
well, I mean, we continue to
We
fund
put-
it.
we put it in the
Police department budget. I'm not saying, you eliminate the 2 positions. I'd rather see those 2 officers on some kind of enforcement type thing within the town of Athens.
Well, and those types of positions, not just for law enforcement, but those grant positions happen at every level of government, and sometimes they continue on and they absorb them, and other times they don't. My wife works at the community college, and a lot of times they get them, and when 2 years is up, if they don't have money to fund them, they're just gone.
Greg, are those resource officers, do they cover the middle school and the high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the 2 schools that are in town.
Within the town, yeah. FEMA does a very similar project with firefighters, that they'll fund them so much for, 4 to 5 years, and they just drop something every year. Either you continue to fund them, or they're gone.
And Bob, what do you see as I understand John's asking for full-time people, what do you see the future of that? I realize that.
What do I see for the future of the fire department?
Yeah.
I see a full-time fire department.
Do you?
Down the road. I think that the people we've got now that are dedicated are not gonna be there much longer. I'm not gonna be there much longer. The over 50 crowd, I don't know what's gonna happen after that, after we're gone.
That's what I'm worried about.
I think it's going, you're gonna have to absorb a lot of people full-time.
That's what I think you're gonna say.
An opinion.
Because it's got so specialized and so many requirements on it, and it takes so much time.
Well, people are working, a lot of
Yeah.
working 2 jobs, and they just don't have time, and then the requirements to be a volunteer is.
And some of the employers, it's different from the employers, they were used to be, very,
Well,
very wanting.
they used to allow you to respond to a call when you had 60 or 70 calls a year. We're now running, 50 to 60 calls a month. So, I mean, it's just, you can't, if you're an employer, you can't allow your employee to do that, because they never would be there.
And the more that gets built on our borders, the more we're gonna have.
Now,
If we answer them,
I'm,
if we can continue to answer them. And, and what incentive does the county have for us not to answer? And for them to answer, what incentive do they have to answer them? If we're doing the work for them, and we're absorbing the cost on it, there's no incentive for them to answer those calls.
we run out of money from the county every year. All of us as town taxpayers, we're absorbing what calls we have in the county.
And we're double taxed by the county,
Well, just 2 taxes, but it's,
or triple taxed because we're paying
yeah.
we're triple taxed by the county.
I didn't watch the video. I was told to watch the video. John went to the board of supervisors sometime, right?
Just recently, just, maybe last week, yeah.
Do you know what the results were of that?
They haven't had.
But I mean, when they were talking, there was some talk
I
about.
think Phil said that the town of Abingdon needs more money for the fire department, but within the vote, they've got some extra funds that they're trying to decide how to allocate.
Maybe I call it Sal would help. Sal. Saul, Sal, sorry, Saul, sorry, Saul.
That's close enough.
I think maybe it's just me, maybe it's good that I'm getting off council, but I just don't think the town of Abington taxpayers need to keep contributing to the county when they're already paying county taxes. And I'm sorry, Charlotte, but the library is a county function.
It is.
Fire protection in the county is a county function. School resource officers, a
Well,
county
I
function.
think, I think doing
Maybe I'm
something.
wrong, I don't know.
I think we could, it's possible if we had the right ears, that somehow we could look at it together. And I think there's benefits to adjusting some things that would benefit both people, and we could share some increased revenue.
As I look at it, as Bob says, we're gonna have to have a full-time fire department that's paid by the town of Abington. When that happens, then what happens to those outside calls outside the town limits? What happens then when the town's funding that 100% of that department? Do you have an idea of what to pay a full-time fire department? Do you have an approximation of how much that would cost?
We're looking at 50,000 plus per full-time.
Be as big as the police department.
Yeah.
So you're looking at probably $5 million?
$2 million.
$2 million, $3 million?
$2 million.
So, and that's.
You're looking at something similar to that.
Yeah.
So it may be more important.
And that's not the only things we're subsidizing.
No, that's just, well, Parks and Rec,
Yes.
there's been very little, on Parks
The
and Rec.
resource officers.
The opportunity was to, at one time, was to have the Walmart within the town of Abington. It didn't happen. Now it's in the county. We've lost several stores as a result of that. I think we have. I think we've lost Kmart because of that, don't you all? Magic Mart?
That's not what I heard, and I mean, I don't think I should go
Okay,
into
well,
that, but,
okay.
and I'm not
No, no.
disputing your word, but,
Kmart says the lease on the building, so.
Sitting there empty. Not generating us any funds.
The
Well,
lights are on.
real estate tax.
Yeah.
It's generating real estate.
No sales tax.
No sales tax. That's on a quarter of a percent.
Well, Walmart definitely hurt, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so, but it is what it is. But, as looking at it, it's our charge not to be filling up everyday potholes. We're to look for the funding streams and the future of the town of Abington. Now, and I think it will, as Food City progresses and it generates $1.7 million or more, then I look at, that's gonna be a nice offset. That's gonna be something that's gonna help us fill in. But as we.
It'll be several years.
But as yeah, it is, well, it's gonna be over 3, so, but anyway, but if you look at that, even if it does, we're gonna have to come up with more funding streams, or the next council will be, to cover fire department costs if the fire department goes full-time. And so, those are the kind of realities that's gonna face the next council. We try to deal with it the best that we can, here right now. But, we fought a battle with the county. Not fought a battle, we just can't get them to talk to us. So good luck. And I'm hoping they will. I am hoping.
Well, we'll try.
All you can do.
I'm praying that it'll work. Very positive about that.
Okay. We're back to, Greg said that he's got 25,000 inserted in his discretionary fund for next year. We're back to, we hired Chuck at 80, and we have not given him a raise since then. And we hired Greg, I've reported Greg and Cecile's salaries, and we need to get past this, guys, so that we can, Greg and Deb's salary, I'm sorry.
Well, I wish that we could do evaluations before, the budget ends.
We could just put some money in the budget and do the evaluations.
Yes, absolutely, you can.
Well, it's already there.
Oh, it's already.
It's in the town managers, there's only money that's in there right now is the town manager's discretionary line.
And that's what I use that funding for, is if somebody gets a raise, merit.
And that's all right with you, if we just do it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Well, it's one of the things it will do. That's part of the money you use on like the if we had a bad winter, and some of these guys have to stay out till all hours of the night.
We've got overtime budget.
You got overtime budget on that one, okay? I mean, I knew I used to give some stipends.
When
Okay.
can we set the evaluations up, Mayor Lowe?
Okay. Got my calendar out. Has everybody got their calendar out?
Yes, ma'am.
Week of the 16th through the 20th is the first time I'm available.
Are you look what month?
April?
April.
Oh, no, not me, sorry.
23rd through the 27th.
Not me.
Nope.
I'm available anytime.
I'm available.
Kick on into May. I have some May time.
Okay.
I've gotta get this house deal
Okay.
cooking in April, but May I'm pretty clean right now, so it's,
You talking about Evan and Rachel? You taking my renters, man.
I know.
Okay. So our election is on the 1st, and our council meeting's on the 7th. So I have to have at least one day to recover from council meeting, so do you all want to say either the 2nd? I'd rather do it.
I'm good, well,
I'd rather do it before the council meeting, frankly. I
I'm
have to have 2 or 3
I'm
days to
good. I'm good on
regurgitate it. 2nd or the 3rd at 12.
I'm good
Either
either
one.
one of those.
I'm all right there.
Greg prefers the 3rd.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay.
What time?
12, and we've got 3 evaluations, so we'll schedule 1 for 12, 1 for 1, and 1 for,
Well, how come we only have 3? We have Bob,
got John.
we have Greg, we have,
oh, I
we got
keep
John.
forgetting John.
Yeah, we
4.
have 4.
Well, no. CJ, he's an appointee.
He's an
isn't he?
appointee?
Yeah,
He
CJ
is.
is.
Yep, so you got CJ too, you're right.
So we have,
He's a let's talk about this though. He's a part-time appointee that only gets like a $5,000 allocation, right?
Yeah.
He gets a
A
minimal
little over 6,000. maybe.
6,000. So we've never evaluated the assistants.
I was fine not to evaluate CJ, he's just a part-timer.
Right. And CJ's part-time, so I think we go with John. I started to say Bob. John,
Not me, man.
John,
I'm
Chuck,
retired.
Deb, and Greg. I guess just schedule them an hour apart. It's not like, we'll start with John because everybody else didn't
we have
build.
Mr. Banner.
Send you it.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you.
So let's start with
Deb,
John.
Greg, John.
Let's start with John because he's not in the building
At noon.
at noon. And then
You think I need an hour for each
whoever,
one?
yeah, and then an hour for each one.
An hour, really?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The rest of them are in the building, so if it
Oh,
takes
okay, I
30
got you, I
minutes.
got you, I got you, I
Right.
got you.
So if it takes 30 minutes, it's,
Yeah.
we can get the next one down. Okay?
Are you gonna,
And
are
at
you
the Arthur
gonna,
Campbell room.
Great.
are you gonna send out, forms and stuff this time?
No. That was to start it off with, and they did a self-evaluation. I mean, I shouldn't say no, the council can say what you all can, right, do the evaluation the way you want to. So let's talk about that. Mr. Kelly.
I just want to say that I think you ought to use, originally I'm the one that came up with the idea of doing a self-evaluation, but frankly, I walked out of there not knowing exactly one way or the other which way it really went. I think we ought to just use the standardized form that we use for all the other.
I agree.
I haven't seen that form, so I really don't know. I know the one that I've used for, I don't know.
I mean, it gives you the ability to make comments on it. Both sides get the ability to make comments on it, but it's after you sit down and have the dialogue. It's
Yeah.
not before.
And does it also have your goal setting for the next year? Because that's one of the things that we didn't have, were the goal setting things that I would, as much as I had. And then, of course, it's good to have a mid-year, I'm going to put this out because we don't do this. but it's really good to have a mid-year review to see how someone's progressing in their goals, so that you, as a I don't want to say the word manager, or employer, can help, see how that you can help them achieve those goals, and what within your power. Because if you haven't helped anyone achieve their goals, and you've left it all up to them, then, you know, it's, the employee's not receiving all the help that they may need to be able to save a job, or to be able to be better at a job, or to be able to be, you know.
Yeah, and if either party has a problem, it doesn't have to lay for a year.
No, exactly. So I think if you had a mid-year review would help, but, you know, that's me. I've always preached, asked for that.
I agree. It doesn't have to
It's
be a
just,
long,
it's
drawn
just,
out thing.
no, it could be just, I mean, literally, it could be a 15, 20 minute.
Sure.
That's up to you guys.
That's gonna be up to you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
You all aren't gonna be the amen section anymore. You're gonna be the let us pray section.
You know, places like, well, we haven't been amen. If you can give us credit for one thing.
Are we done? Is everybody clear? So John McCormick's first on May the 3rd at 12 o'clock. And then, you know, Deb and Chuck and Greg can pick when they want to come down, one at a time.
I'll be here soon.
I mean, they'll all be here, so.
So are we getting the, evaluation, well, you're gonna
You
do
do
a
forms, Jared, you
self-evaluation.
do- no.
We're doing the forms here, that's gonna be the
During-
format during our evaluation.
We'll get you some in advance, so you can be familiar with the form, and.
So we can ask some questions.
But you all collectively need to do the grading of the forms.
Okay, what was the other question I had? I don't know what it was.
So, I guess maybe this is the time, because this is a question that you all haven't been asked before. I don't want it to be an unfair question, but I would like for it to be a question that if you can't answer now, think about it. And that is that, how do you think that in the past that you have been, you know, in your, on your evaluation on, how well do you think that that's gone? How do you think that we as a council can improve on asking you questions?
Well, it's sort of like, with me anyway, it's sort of like, the way I handle department heads is it's pretty much an ongoing evaluation throughout the year. Now, we don't get the time, we being you all and me and Deb and Chuck, get the time that I get with department heads on a daily basis, so that if I see a problem, I can say to them, hey, we need to be dealing with this. But I agree with you in the sense of, you said 2 evaluations throughout the year. Yeah, if I'm doing something wrong, I can't correct it unless you all tell me I'm doing something wrong. I'll cruise along thinking everything's all well and good until somebody tells me otherwise. But I do think that the best type of an evaluation is one that you can sit down and you can have a healthy dialogue, not a defensive dialogue. You know, I'm not going to sit in here and every time you say something to me that you think I need to improve on, I'm going to say, well, I don't think I agree with that. You know, I think there's room for improvement everywhere, at every level. So I just like to have the dialogue, but in the end, at the end of the day, I like to, and that's why I think the quantitative numbers are important. I like to see, did I do okay, or am I misinterpreting what was said?
Well, right, and when we started this, you know, as we have talked before, we had some people thought it was a gotcha moment, or, you know, it was gonna be used adversarially, which wasn't at all what it was planned, you know, to do. And do you feel like that it has been used do you feel like that there has been good dialogue back and forth?
During the process, but afterwards, no, I don't think anybody's ever come to me and said, hey, on your evaluation last year, we talked about this, and you didn't do that, or you're doing that great, you know.
Follow up.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that we have to have too. As a council, we have to have that too, so that we know, you know, how that we need to change course or how to do things better, so that we get a better and please don't misinterpret this, so we get a better product or better employee, but also we get, and you get some satisfaction out of us, but also that we're hearing what that you need so that we can try to be able to I don't want to use the word accommodate, but we accommodate that.
You said something a minute ago, and it's very important to me, and always has been, is that, you know, we, at the staff level, we've always, since I've been here, we've preached the team level, we've preached lowering the boundaries of all the departments so that everybody crossed over and worked well together. And we wanted to get away from the a them against us mentality. And that's what I really hope for at the council level, that you all realize that me and Deb and Chuck and all the department heads are on the last team, and we want to feel the same way that you all do on their team.
And I want to throw in the fact that we've been through years to evaluate in particular behaviors and work methods and those types of things, to compare one to another that have been so different, so very much unalike. I think we have as much of that as we have routines to. It makes it very difficult.
It is. You know, I have a board of directors that I answer to, and you know, when we meet about tough issues, it doesn't feel good on either side. They don't want to have to ask the questions, and I'm wondering why they're asking them. So this is probably the most difficult part of council manager relationships is this. It needs to be a good process. I don't know how you make it a good process, because the only way you get the answer to questions is to ask questions, and then the person you're asking the questions to goes, why are they asking that? You know, so it's this, you know, it's very, very difficult. And so, you know, our job is to try to make this stress-free for each other and to communicate as well as we can as to, you know, maybe why we're asking a question or what we're looking for in an answer. And that kind of helps alleviate the mystery of the question, if you will. Right. But in saying that, I do think that we need to know when. Has the ad gone out for the clerk's position?
It's going out this week.
Okay, and so what's the deadline on receiving applications?
It's open until filled, because I don't like to put deadlines in those types of things, but I anticipate starting to pick, and I think 2 of the council members ought to be on that interviewing committee, because this person's going to work for you as much as they are for the administration. More, they actually work for you. But probably the 3rd to the 4th week in April is a good date to start sitting down and reviewing the applications that come in.
Well, I say that Wayne City do that.
I'll take that responsibility.
I say
Happy
Wayne,
to.
yeah, I
So
say Wayne City do
I'll,
that.
as the applications come in, we'll compile them, and then we'll just set a date to get with you all, and we'll review each of the applications that have come in, weed them out, and then we'll pick some to interview.
Now, the other thing that I would like to say about all of that is this. Because because we operate under council manager form of government, I think you need a locked drawer upstairs in the clerk's office, whoever that is going to be, that has all of the human resource records for the town appointees.
See, that's what I was just about to say. I was going to say, can I just finish, please, if you don't mind? I wanted to keep them in human resource hands somewhere, because we can't use any guidelines. I mean, if we don't have these papers to put in a file somewhere, we have nowhere to go back to see where you were at this point, you know, or that point, and see if it's progressing, getting, you know. So I agree with that. We need to keep records on the appointees.
Although Stacy Reichler is the human resource person, she is in a precarious position when it comes to Greg, Deb, and Chuck. So, again, I certainly think that you can get her guidance, but I do not believe that her office should be the one that is charged. The clerk holds the town's records. And I do not think I think Stacy's in a bad situation.
Okay, so that being said, I think that this is multi-level, it's just not a single level. Human resources records, just by the mere need for being obtained information, sick leave, annual leave, all the human resource stuff that go in your human resources file, those need to remain in Stacy Reicher's charge. Evaluations and expectations and any notes according to those could be kept in a separate area, and then you can have a custodian of those records, whomever that you assign as a custodian. Those records can be sealed, signed on the back, so that no one can open them up unless you have 2 council people present. No one person can review them, and that keeps everybody on kind of an even keel. I think that what happens is, though, if you put all those human resources records for everybody, if you use their sick leave, their annual leave, their all the stuff that, then what happens is that every time that you need to read one thing, you have to open up the entire packet. And so, in some of them, human resources.
You don't have to, because it shows up every week on their paycheck. Sick leave, vacation time, all that shows up on their pay stub.
But you also have other things. You have things that are HIPAA, you have HIPAA things that probably are kept separate, so that HIPAA isn't violated. You have, all this stuff that really Stacy should have access to. I'm not saying she needs the access to our evaluations, but I think she doesn't. But some of the stuff on a daily basis is probably not kept on the computer that she should have access to as human resource director.
If somebody, for example, I hear what you're saying. I do agree on the evaluations. They need to be kept in the lockbox or whatever, however you want to do that. That's fine. But if a council appointee has to have, as you say, go on FMLA or something, somebody's going to have to communicate with the human resource officer to get that started. Or if somebody applies for a job, the HR person is going to be the one that verifies the employment with the town of having it.
Right, and there's all types of stuff you might want to see, anyway, there are records that should be segregated, some that don't need to be. And
Why don't you all get Stacy's input? She's the town human resource person. Get her input on what she's comfortable maintaining and what she thinks needs to be maintained in a lockbox or whatever. But I think that's something that needs to be looked at because, she's in a...
Well, I think there needs to be protocol. The protocol is established with that.
Right.
Who can open it up? When can it be open? How many people need to be present to have it open? I know that seems very, very, and I know it seems kind of overkill, but it's just things that will protect all council members and all appointees. It'll protect both sides.
Well, any evaluation of mine that I've ever given to her has been in a sealed envelope. I can't say it's still in a sealed envelope, but it's been visible.
Right. But before you seal it, the stuff like that really should be,
Needs to be sealed by council.
You and the council member should seal it together, so both of you know what's in there. And that way,
It should be opened by council appointee.
The appointee could and should be present.
Mhm.
Are there any existing records now? Any last year's?
Whatever you all did on the council appointees should be in the first
Self-evaluation and then a comment sheet.
I hand-delivered something to everybody's office and I asked them to sign it. And it was after we had our evaluations and, we did the wrap-up at the end of the evaluation. And I made those notes into a document, hand-delivered them to each office and asked you all to put them in the file. So
I think we should see those so we can, if there's anything in there as far as record that we can go from there
Why
forward.
why don't you let them bring that in,
One of the
their
things-
file in with their evaluation? Are you okay with that?
And one of
As
the
long
other,
as I have time to read it and go over it.
one of the things about this is that you're doing it, as when I was a manager, is that at the end of the discussion, both sides sign it, so both sides know what's being said, that there's no, something, and I'm not saying that you would, but something that management couldn't, as far as us being managers, we need to put something at the end of it and just seal it up, put it in. Both sides have to usually initial each line, each number, and then at the bottom, everybody sign it.
Well, it was a new process. This is
Because
only
we've
the
done it
third
first
time
time.
in the history of the town of Abingdon, and so, I think we've done very well with no experience.
Well, we could do a lot, we could do a lot better. We could do a lot better.
Right, I think that there's always room for improvement. Now, when you are talking about the evaluation sheet, Greg, are you talking about that thing that has a number score? Like 1 to 5 on this and
One
1
is,
to...
1 to 3, isn't it, Chuck?
And like the perfect score is like 30 or something like that?
Yeah.
And then there's a place at the bottom for comments or something, right? Right. So that,
And all
There's a
parties sign off.
self-evaluation. There's also a self-evaluation piece.
Yeah, all parties sign it.
You as the council would have to sign off on it as well.
so that's what you all are talking about,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So is everybody comfortable with all this and y'all are ready to send me to work?
I'm all right with the start, we can revise it later if we're not happy with it, but at least we're starting with some.
Right. And Greg's gonna call you all you and Cindy about looking at the clerk application.
Sounds good.
Okay. Very good.
It's all like Donkey
I'm
Kong.
gonna call Saul.
You call
Better
Saul.
call Saul. There's a TV show called that.
I
Netflix.
call
I'll
Saul,
call
you
Dave.
want me to call Kathy?
No, don't,
And
about,
Cindy, about the meeting, if we can get a meeting.
Well, the other thing is about the Watauga thing,
Saul, her
about,
name is, you've been out, Kathy.
about Watauga too, about whether we get that Watauga thing. That needs to be signed off on and go.
Yeah, I talked to Kevin and he says as of, right, let me see if he said, I didn't send anything back. He says as of right now, I'm still in the county's hands.
Well, that ball's in your court, isn't it? Are you gonna write a letter or?
It's in-
I
No,
made-
write a letter, hell, we need to have this going, they're ready to do this.
I made a call about that, and I was told that they don't know what we're talking about. So I don't know if the letter I don't know.
Scott Wilson is our consultant, and Scott's been up there. I don't know
Numerous
how many-
times.
Multiple
Numerous
times.